even with the schedule difference in terms of difficulty, the Twins are so beat up right now.
Right. I mean, if they can play 500 ball, they go 7-7, and you make the Indians go, what, like 11-2 or 12-2, 11-3 ish.
Yeah.
Indians are gonna have to play great ball, and honestly, if the Twins can't go 500 or a little bit better than 500 over it, do they really deserve to get in?
Right.
I mean, I don't think they do, but to your point, they're beat up, but they should be getting. I think wasn't Gonzalez coming back either today or tomorrow. Cruz, I think, is close. So I don't know. I think again, if they can play 500 baseball, they should get home, because I don't think the Indians can go 11-2 or 12-2, whatever they would have to do.
So let's look ahead for a second then. As of right now, I'm pretty sure the Twins would draw the Yankees, and between the Yankees and the Astros, that's probably the better draw for the first round. The Yankees, by the way, did they not pass the Twins now for home runs this season? Like, take that record back, essentially?
They did, yeah. They passed them early last week, I think.
Okay, so here's a question for you. I think Aaron Boone's got to be AL Manager of the Year. Just in the sense that they've had so many injuries to key players for such a long time, and they've just run away with the division against, beating Tampa Bay, beating Boston. I mean, Toronto, Baltimore's a joke, but as much as I'd love to see Rocco, because he's clearly had another tremendous season, and we've had our fair share of injuries now, I don't know how it's not Boone. What do you think?
Well, I think it's between Rocco and Boone. I mean, the part of it with the Yankees is they're still just so stacked. Where the Twins, how many guys have had career years on the Twins? And obviously, like, I'm partial, but I just think that Rocco's gotten more out of players that we maybe didn't expect than maybe Boone did.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's probably a coin toss, and I'm a Minnesota fan, so I'm going to vote Rocco, but I don't think that's going to happen just because the Yankees get what they want. So Boone will win it. So I was predicting. If I was betting in Vegas, I'd bet on Boone.
So what? That being said, then my next question, Twins question, is who's your Twins MVP for this season?
Gosh, there's so many. So maybe Rocco because of that. Like I didn't think Mitch Garver could hit 30 home runs and 280 some at bats, and if you did, like, you're nuts.
Right.
So and how many guys like that? Like Arias, who would have thought he could come up and hit like he did? Even Kepler having the season that he did, he's probably your MVP if you pick a player. Because he stayed pretty healthy for most of the year, and he hit and played solid defense. And I don't remember like thinking to myself, man, he's been in a 2-week slump like I do with Rosario. And I don't know if Cruz has been healthy enough. So I'd probably roll with Kepler. Even Brios. Like, Brios went through, 2-month stretch where he was borderline average.
Well, and has he even come out of it, can we say conclusively?
Yeah.
See, I'm on Polanco. And Max would be my number 2. I just feel like Polanco's been more consistent. And then, unfortunately for Max, he's gotten dinged up here in the last little bit. But, I mean, Polanco's carried them for stretches of the season, it feels like.
Yeah, and so where I would separate the two is I think Polanco's a little iffy defensively, and where Max is just solid all around. But
yeah,
Polanco's bat has been real good. And then you got the Indians pitcher the other night, whining and crying about it.
Yeah, exactly.
The PED suspension. So
after he lost.
Whatever.
So
right, yeah,
crying there, bud. All right, so I'm looking
maybe don't throw a 93-mile-an-hour fastball middle of the plate on the upper half. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
You throw a cookie, it doesn't matter if he's on PED or not. Like, it's leaving the yard. So whatever. You made a mistake.
I'm looking at SpotRack, SPOTRAC.com, MLB injured list tracker for 2019. Yankees have had 33 players, which leads on the injured list, which is 6 more than the next closest team, which is Philadelphia. for a total of 2,521 days, and the money spent on those players is $80.1 million. By comparison, the Twins, 18 players, so 33 versus 18, and 521 days, so literally 2,000 fewer days on injured list for Twins players than for the Yankees players so far. And of course, the money difference is $11 million for those players versus the $80 million for the Twins for the Yankees players. By the way, the Yankees have the most number of days players spent on IL this season. Twins second fewest.
Wow.
So it feels like
they were due. They were due to have a stretch like this.
That's where I was going.
Yeah, it just stinks that it was end of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, they were due. I mean, you wish you have it in June or July if you're going to have it. But I mean, they were obviously due. So Boone, based on that, Boone's got to be the number. I don't really the salary doesn't mean much to me because the Yankees pay their people so damn much. But yeah.
But yeah, the players in days, that's a stark difference. 33
that's
to
huge.
18 and 2,000, 4 times as many. I mean, that's nuts. So maybe it's not accurate. Maybe it's counting something that I don't recognize or I don't realize, but this one site makes it look pretty different. All right.
One comment I will make on that is timing of these injuries is pretty big because at that point the Yankees were able to make moves to accommodate their injuries. Same with the Indians. Like everybody says, the Indians had to overcome injuries. If you have injuries prior to the trade deadline, you can make moves to overcome them. Where the Twins have had them, you can't make a move to overcome them.
Right.
Unless, it can be argued they should have made a move and didn't. But when they have their injuries, there's nothing they can do to overcome those injuries. So
and let's talk about that from the perspective of the trade deadline. The bullpen has not been the problem lately at all.
No. And the guys they picked up have been decent.
Like when they're healthy. Dyson right can't really stay healthy, but yeah, I don't have any beef with Romo whatsoever. And you're right. If you traded for some, I don't know who was injured, but a position player, and then your guy who's hurt comes back, now what are you going to do? So I don't know. I'm a buyer right now on Falvine and the job they've done, which is crazy because it was a year ago where I was 180 degrees the other direction, felt like every move they'd made went wrong, Lance Lynn and whatever. This, from the end of last season till now, it feels like every move they've made has gone right.
Right. The only thing that I might disagree with them on is they didn't make a move on Keuchel or Kimbrel, and I think both of those situations could have maybe helped a little bit of that. So I don't know, but I can see why they didn't move on him. The guys hadn't played or done anything, so I get it. But I just looked at where they were at. They could have used a starting pitcher on a cheap 1-year prove-it deal, and they could have used a reliever on a similar type of thing. Yeah. And even if it took 2 years, give them a 2-year prove-it deal. That's fine because your team's young enough and you're going to win. You're going to have the same core offensive talent coming back next year. Why not take a chance on those guys for 2 years? So that'd be my only gripe. But at the trade deadline, I'm with you. I'm not sold that you go out and you mortgage your farm for Madison Bumgarner, who hasn't been very good since the deadline.
Right.
And yeah.
Or Stroman, who wasn't coming here because you wanted to go home, or you want to go to New York, or Syndergaard or DeGrom, or any of those guys several of whom didn't end up getting moved. So, yeah, so in other words, to your point, you got some control over some of this roster. Cruz next year, whatever. You got a bunch of young kids coming up who are playing well, and you still have your very strong pipeline of youths knocking at the majors' door. So, like I said, it feels like to me like they've made most, if not all, of the right decisions this year that have worked out for the most part. And, like right now they've got some tough luck with the injuries, but I'll tell you that sweeping that doubleheader yesterday in Cleveland was something else. I mean, that was a heck of a statement because it was truly starting to feel like they just ran out of steam. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, 2 bullpen days and they sweep the games. I mean, come on.
Right.
Super gutsy.
Awesome stuff. All right. So good stuff on the Twins. Are you, did you get any playoff strips?
I did not. No, I did not. I've got some buddies that I'm probably buy a ticket or 2 here from. So,
yeah.
So,
all right. So, what did you see from the Vikes in week 1? And obviously, we're sort of dancing around the fact that week 2's game in Green Bay is ongoing right now. But what did you see in week 1 that you felt was noteworthy?
Oh, the running game. I mean, obviously that. And I'm going to say this about this week's game. Like, I am biting my tongue right now because I want to drive to Green Bay and light up the officials because the game has been the worst officiated freaking football game I've ever seen in my life.
Like all the OPIs?
BB was just 3 yards out of bounds, got lit up, and they threw the flag for, like the Vikings got called for holding, but then BB got lit up out of bounds, and they picked the flag up.
Oh,
and
Jesus.
He was 2 yards out of bounds. Anyways, but no, so last week I just think running game, Delvin Cook, like I didn't realize, like I knew he was good, but I didn't think he had the burst that he had and that he showed last week. I mean, now even this week.
Yeah, his run this week was
for freaking holding again. Jesus criminy. So, like, Zimmer's going to have a brain aneurysm. Yep, here it comes.
Yeah.
But at any rate, I think I didn't realize Delvin Cook had that burst, and obviously he does, and it's, yeah. And the line looks okay, but today they're holding a bit too much, but whatever.
You know who I'm getting tired of, though, is Cousins. I think he has pocket awareness of the rush. None. Zero. And I know last year he had so little time, so that certainly impacts that or exacerbates that or maybe even causes that. But you would think that if anything, the reaction would be that he'd be extra jittery and be letting the ball go too soon or whatever, right? He's not. He's still just hanging in there forever and then making dumb plays. And I don't think that needing your quarterback, maxing your quarterback out at 10 attempts is a sustainable way to win in the NFL. If for no other reason than how many running backs go through a full season without getting injured. So, but I worry that may honestly be the best way for this offense to be able to win.
The thing with it is though, like last week, I get why they did it last week. Like they got to the point where they had a big lead.
Sure.
And Cook was just gashing him, so they didn't have to throw. But a game like today, where you're down 21, now they're working their way back into this thing, but you're down 21, and Cousins just looks like a freaking deer in the headlight for so much of this, and it's like, dude, like you're getting $30 million a year. You want to be the guy. Here's your chance to be the guy, but the guy has to win when the lights are a little bit brighter than dim. And Cousins, every game where there's any amount of hype, seems to lay an egg. And the thing is Zimmer seems to have done that too in his career. So I don't know if it's Zimmer, if it's Cousins or who, but it needs to change. Like 12 minutes in the game, we have the football down 5. Go win a freaking football game.
Right.
And then he just overthrows Diggs. Diggs was just beat his corner, had him beat for a touchdown, and Cousins overthrew him by 10 yards. On 3rd and 7. Like, it should be 23-21, but he freaking overthrows Diggs by 10 yards. Like,
I mean, he shows so much touch here and there, and then he makes boneheaded decisions almost as often as he displays nice touch. He's such a frustrating quarterback.
Yeah, like, Diggs had his guy beat by 5 yards right there, and Cousins overthrew him by 2 yards, and Diggs laid out like perpendicular to the ground, laid out, and couldn't catch it. And that's a hit. That's a throw on the road in the NFL. You have to hit 100 times out of 100. And if you're a $30 million quarterback, you have to hit it, period. And he doesn't. And that's the difference. So to your point, now they have to punt and give the ball back to Aaron Rodgers with 11 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Right.
Like, I mean, you
I'm getting
can't
tired of
beat.
him.
Yeah, you can't beat teams on the road like this when you don't hit that throw. And the problem is today, like, they're going to have way more excuses because the officiating's been god awful. Like, the Vikings have 10 penalties